And finally, on today's episode, let's turn to David Trim for a look at Adventist history.
This week, we will learn about the beginning of the Adventist work in Utah. Plus, we'll find out how the Tokyo Adventist Hospital began.
Welcome to This Week in Adventist History. On the 1st of May 1892, the first Seventh-day Adventist local church in what is today the U.S. state of Utah was organized in its capital, Salt Lake City. In the autumn of 1889, Utah had been added to the California Conference, and the conference opened the first Adventist work in Utah when it sent a number of literature evangelists to canvass the territory. Evangelistic meetings followed in Salt Lake City, as a result of which 20 were baptized. On the same date, but 9 years later in 1901, the Florida Conference elected former General Conference President George I. Butler as its president. Butler, who had not been re-elected as GC president in 1888, suffered from disappointment, and Butler moved to the state of Florida, where he lived in semi-retirement. But he was encouraged by Ellen G. White to go back into active ministry, and he accepted the election as Florida Conference president, age 67. In January 1902, the newly organized Southern Union Conference elected Butler as its first Union president, which office he held until 1907, when, age 73, he retired again. Butler acted as an elder statesman in support of Adventist church leaders until his death in 1918 at the age of 84. Also on May 1st, but 28 years on again, in 1929, a 20-bed hospital opened on the compound of the Japan Union Mission in Tokyo. The Union at that time had only 620 church members, yet they contributed more than 2/3 of the cost of opening the hospital, after Dr. Edward Getzlaff and his wife Hetty, a nurse, arrived as missionaries in 1927 and proposed that the existing clinic be turned into a hospital. The first staff of the hospital included Edward and Hetty Getzlaff and 3 missionaries, but also a Japanese physician, Dr. Shogo Watanabe, and 6 Japanese nurses. The Getzlaffs stayed in Japan until 1934, but returned to the country in 1946 to help get Tokyo Sanitarium and Hospital back on its feet after World War II. They served again there until 1950. Today's Tokyo Adventist Hospital is a 186-bed acute care hospital that treats some 65,000 patients annually. And that was This Week in Seventh-day Adventist History.